Iran's military involvement getting the attention of the Sunni Arab world and of the West. We turn to Christopher Dickey in New York, foreign editor of the Daily Beast. Thanks so much for being with us. What do you make of the presence of Qasem Soleimani at Tikrit?
Well, Jonathan, he's been a major player in Iraq for a long time, and in fact throughout the region. He essentially is in charge of the foreign military operations and to a large extent the foreign political operations of Iran as it tries and often succeeds in projecting its power throughout Lebanon, Syria, Gaza, even Afghanistan and Iraq. In fact, back in 2008, he sent a message to General Petraeus in Iraq and said, you should take note of this. I'm in charge of all that policy, and the ambassador to Baghdad is one of my men, and if he's replaced, the next ambassador will be one of my men. So this is a guy, he is the proconsul. He is Iran's man running its foreign operations. Tikrit is one part of that. It's a battle he wants to win, but he is a hugely powerful figure.
Now, I just made a point of referring to what the Saudi Arabian foreign minister said, that he feels Iran is taking over Iraq. Are we seeing that in the person of Qasem Soleimani?
Well, sure. I mean, yes, we are seeing that the Iraqis are more and more dependent on Iran and Iranian-trained militias to fight ISIS and to basically take the place of the conventional army that was trained up over the course of a decade by the United States. Really, it's very much like what happened in Iran after the revolution in '79. What Soleimani is doing is creating an Iraqi Pasdaran, an Iraqi Revolutionary Guard network, and that eventually will be the main military force in Iraq.
Now, the foreign minister of Iran told our Christian Amanpour that Iran doesn't have any men fighting in Iraq. Was he being less than entirely forthcoming?
He was being completely disingenuous. Javad Zarif, the foreign minister, is a charming man, but he is not running the Quds Force, and he doesn't run those kinds of operations. When it comes to boots on the ground, if you will, either proxy forces or direct forces, Javad Zarif, the foreign minister, has nothing to do with it, and Qasem Soleimani has everything to do with it.
Do you have any numbers? Does anyone really know the extent of the Iranian involvement in terms of manpower, in terms of weaponry?
No, I don't think we know. We have good metrics on that, but they would be kind of irrelevant anyway. We are talking about thousands of Iraqis who have been trained in these militias and armed in these militias going back many, many years. In fact, the interior minister of the Iraqi government is a member of the Badr organization, which is a complete spin-off of the Iranian military apparatus.
Now, the United States is agonizing at some level about whether to send troops back into Iraq as advisors or potentially even as combat forces. Is that irrelevant, given what you're telling us about the help they're getting from Iran?
Well, it's very hard to figure out how it would work. Are we going to be in a position where we have radical Shia militias fighting on the ground and the Americans are training other troops to give them support, or will the American-trained troops operate in parallel? Will the American Air Force, which is crucial to this war against ISIS, will it provide close air support? It's not providing close air support in Tikrit, but if there's an offensive against Mosul, it certainly will. And how will it be coordinated with Iran? I think none of those questions have been answered effectively, and it's one of the reasons the war is not going better than it is.
Christopher Dickey of the Daily Beast, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you, Jonathan.